Is divorce a fresh start or an ugly end? Well, some warn of loneliness, financial strain, and heartache. But some say divorce brings freedom, growth, and even happiness. What leads some people to finally say, I don't? Today on Off the Couch. And welcome to Off the Couch, where psychology meets everyday life. I'm Dr. Greg Cason here with producer Brian Gomez.
Happy Monday, you guys.
And we have Noah on the board. Noah, hi.
Hi, how are you, Dr. Greg?
It's good to see you today. We're going to have a special guest, but I'm not going to say who it is. She will come in when she comes in, but let's just dive into the topic. Today, we're going to talk about divorce. Noah, I don't know where you stand in that.
I've never been divorced. I'm only 22 years old. So
well,
can't say
if
that
you did get married, you'd be in a high divorce category, but we'll just get to that. Today on Off the Couch, as of 2024, divorce rates in the United States have had a notable decline in the past decade. This is really a trip. The U.S. Census Bureau, the divorce rate for women 15 and older decreased from approximately 10 per 100,000 in 2012 to 7 per 100,000 in 2022, but then it's just recently dropped again to a staggering 2 per 100,000. I mean, we're just seeing this rapid slide down of divorces. I mean, so we've seen this decrease in divorce rate over time, where marriage has basically stayed about the same. It's funny, some of the countries with the highest divorce rates, the highest, of course, maybe not of course, you probably don't know this, is Russia, with Belarus and Gibraltar, the next two. United States is number 4 in the world. We're kind of a high divorce country.
I wonder what factors, cause that.
Well, we're going to talk about that. I mean, because actually there seems to be some possibilities here. I think the data kind of tells you a story when you look at least here in the United States. So let's talk about this. Marriage rates have remained relatively stable over time. We have seen some decrease, certainly during the pandemic. We saw marriage rates go way down, and that's mostly because people didn't want to get married and, in that they postponed their marriages till a better time. But the U.S. Census Bureau noted that about 17 marriages per 1,000 women age 15 and older in 2012, and it just got a tiny bit higher in 2022. So we're holding pretty steady. Divorce rates vary by state. How about that? So the different states have different divorce rates. What's number one? This kind of varies back and forth. This particular state's always in on the bottom 5 or top 5 for divorce. What do you think is number one? No guess?
Dang, I don't know. Would LA? No.
LA's not a state.
Oh, oops.
We're bigger than most. Well, LA has more people than most states, but
literally.
Yes, I mean the many states. But.
I guess statewide. I don't know. That's kind of interesting because each state, I feel like they have their own different lifestyle.
It's Nevada.
Oh, that makes sense. Everybody goes and gets married there, and the weekend weddings.
Married there, and it's also a historical place to get divorced. But this is probably most people get divorced in their own states now. It used to be that Nevada was your only option. So people would go to get divorced in Nevada. But now you can get divorced everywhere. So
Nevada used to be the only place you can get divorced.
Where they had legal divorce, quick legal divorce. I think in other places it just took a great deal of time.
I did not know that.
Nevada had the highest rate at 4.2 divorces per 1,000 women. Guess who had the lowest? These will make more sense when we go on.
I don't know.
It's Massachusetts. They had a low rate of divorce of 1 per 1,000. So
maybe their values,
Well, there are probably some factors. I think maybe education might play a big role. Individuals with bachelor's degrees have a lower divorce rate, approximately 25%. Compared to those with only a high school diploma, where it goes up to 45%. Massachusetts is the number 1 educated state.
Oh, okay.
Nevada is near the bottom at 45th in education. they have a really bad educational system, like from the beginning to the end. They're always in the bottom 5. So it's just kind of interesting that education may play a role in who ends up getting divorced. And we see this play out in other ways. And a fun fact, I just thought this was the funnest fact of all, Arkansas has the highest rate of individuals married 3 or more times. Men and women in Arkansas are twice as likely to be married 3 or more times than the national average.
And what do they rank in education?
I don't know their exact rank, but I think it's fairly low as well.
Got it. So it would make sense. Okay.
Maybe Noah can tell us.
Looks like Arkansas is 36th in education, so not quite as bad as Nevada.
Not quite as bad. Thank you, Noah. So what is California, by the way, Noah?
In education?
Yeah, because I don't think we're always
Any
in
guesses?
the top. I think we're probably in the high middle, like in the top 25%. But
California is ranked 37th, right below Arkansas, actually.
Oh, man, we are doing poorly. What happened? We used to be good. I don't know.
The times are tough.
Brian moved here.
Glad I got educated when I did. Okay. Age also plays a role. Younger couples, particularly those 25 to 39, experience higher divorce rates. That's why don't get married right away, Noah. Conversely, oh my God, who's walking into the room? We're going to stop this for 1 second and just say, welcome. I have to introduce you. Today we have a special guest who is so electrifying.
Electrifying?
Yes, if comedy were a power grid, she'd be lighting up the whole country. She's a powerhouse on stage, a sharp-witted truth teller, and the queen of no-nonsense comedy. You've seen her on Showtime, HBO, Netflix, but most recently she took Dry Bar by storm, having the #1 show for 2024. Isn't that correct?
True fact.
Proving that you don't need to be dirty to be downright hilarious. She's a stand-up legend, storyteller with a bite, and if you've ever heard her break down relationships, you know she's basically a therapist with better punchlines.
Wow. Did the AI write that?
That was an AI one.
You got to send that to me. I
will.
like that one.
Buckle up, because today we're getting off the couch and onto the comedy roller coaster with the one and only Monique Marvez.
Hello.
Woo!
I'm admiring Brian's hair.
Oh, thank you. I'm admiring your hair.
Oh, thank you. I had it done Friday, but he did it so well, it's still done.
Thank you for coming up. Monique
Are you
drove
kidding?
all the way up from
Carlsbad Village.
Carlsbad. There you go.
Where I got a root canal. Let's not leave that out of the equation.
Oh, I had no idea.
Well, it wasn't really a full-on. It was kind of a let's revisit something you did in the early 2000s.
Wow.
It's like, believe it or not, root canals are like fake boobs. You got to check them out every once in a while. Make sure they're still working.
I have so many root canals I lost count.
Wow.
Sorry
I've had
to say.
2. I had
good
one
for
in
you.
1984 and one in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think I got my first in 1984 and kept on going.
Okay.
I have like a punch card at the.
Yeah, well, I've been married 3 times, so yeah, I could add his, root canals kind of longer and more painful.
Well, you've been married 3 times, so you're perfect to talk about our topic, which we were just talking about, divorce.
Okay. I'm all for it. I have so many good things to say about divorce.
What's good to say about divorce?
It's effective.
Well, it does end things.
Well, here's it does. It's not always. Sometimes people get legally divorced, but they're still very enmeshed psychologically, maybe karmically, if people believe in that stuff. I've seen plenty of divorced people that, okay, it's over, let it go. Stop talking about each other. Stop hating on each other. Stop. It's over. Like I'm the person, when I'm done, I'm done. I walk away, and it's like I was in a movie with a girl that looked like me that was married to you. Like there's no charge on it.
Wow.
That's cool. That's a cool way to look at it.
Well, I think I had a friend tell me once that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. That if there's still hate, if there's still a charge on it, like I don't hate anybody, least of all my ex-husbands, but I have 0 charge on things. Like if something's still challenging me, then I'm like, I got to work through this. I'll tell you. Don't you like how I just go? I'll stop.
Hey,
I have a story.
No, but you go, girl.
Okay,
That's
well,
good.
My 3rd ex-husband, which will be my last ex-husband, he used to accuse me of flirting.
Oh, gee.
Flirting. And I said, flirting is a puss behavior. I just connect very well with people, and I think it troubled him that I connected well with males and females. But, you know, guys like it when they feel seen and heard and understood, and you're actually listening to them and not barking directives, and, you know. So, you know, he said, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him, and I said, flirting is a puss behavior. It's for kind of nervous people to kind of put a toe in the water and say, like, I kind of like you. You like me? Like giving somebody some rhythm. I go, like, that's not me. I go, here's how it's going to work. I said, you're going to annoy me. I'm going to tell you. It's going to happen 3 times. I'm going to give you 3 warnings that you're really annoying me at a core level. Like, not little annoyances like leaving a peanut butter spoon in the sink. Like, I'm not that person. Nothing bothers me until it bothers me. And it's got to be core. Like, you're questioning my character. You're besmirching my family. It's got to be big, you know? But he used to question my character a lot out of his own insecurities. And I'd had it. So I said, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to tell you 3 times that you're annoying me. The 3rd time, I'm preparing to leave. There's no 4th warning. I'm out of here. Then I'm going to regroup, figure out what my psychological hitch and my giddy up was that made me marry you. Then I'm going to look around, and if I see anybody on the horizon that's interesting to me, I'll say, hey, I kind of like you. Are you interested in a coffee? And they'll say yes or they'll say no. And then I'll go on a coffee. I said, I don't flirt. That's half measures. I said, for the record, this is your first warning.
Right on.
And did you always have this mentality with like your relationships about the 3 warnings?
No, but I've always been my dad used to tell me that that people were slaves to their emotions, and that if you can learn to harness and control your emotion, not harness it, not suppress it, but use it as fuel to inspire your words, your actions, your next moves.
Absolutely.
So when something triggers and the kids say trigger, when it gives you a charge, like, you know, then I sit back and I go, what was that really about? Because it's 90% of the time, it's not even about the other person. It's about something, you know, I tell people, I call it the 7-Up theory. I say everything we do is to protect or heal a wound we incurred from the age of 7 and down. So I call it the 7-Up theory, you know? So if somebody questioned your integrity or whatever, you know, part of that comes from the fact that my dad was a cheater pants, and my mom used to always say, like, you're just like your dad. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm honest to a fault. And I think it's probably an overcompensation from the fact that my dad and I had enormous likenesses, but he was not a person of integrity. He cut corners. He was, you know, a 1972 male in America, whatever that means. You know, Don Draper, watch Mad Men. So I don't raise my voice. I don't scream. I don't yell. I'm not that person. I had a boyfriend that drove like a maniac. And I would tell him, you're scaring me. I don't like this. Could you please not drive that way when I'm in the car? And, you know, he had a BMW 5-speed, loved to zip around corners, you know. One time he really terrified me on I-95. I said, please don't do that. It really terrifies me. I was in a car accident when I was younger. I get very, you know, 3rd time, I was terrified. He drove home like a maniac from some club on South Beach. That's it. It was back in the day with the little tape machines. I was done. I went home. I got in my house. I locked the door. That was the end of him. He filled the tape. I don't know what I did. I don't know why you won't call me back.
Oh, on the voicemail.
Yeah. I told him, stop driving like that. I feel like if I have to yell and scream and cry to get you to treat me decently, I don't need to be here.
Well, excellent. Yeah. No, you communicate clearly. And Brian and I were talking earlier. A lot of men don't listen. I mean, that seems to be part of the issue.
I don't blame you. A lot of women talk about stuff I don't want to hear. So I guess if I don't want to hear it, you really don't want to hear it.
Well, Brian,
I'm a woman. I'm nice.
Brian was accusing me of not listening.
Because I call it the man brain and the woman brain. And we were even talking about your brain, and we were like, oh, your brain is like a tomboy woman brain, you know?
I think
I still have a woman brain.
Oh, I'm a girly girl. but I feel like I feel like it's not a gender. It is a gender, of course, because of society. Because I know some men that have very high EQs that are super sensitive and kind. They're straighter than, straight. I'm not going to say Yoko Ono's pubic hair like I do on stage, but I think I just did. But the point, it's a pretty old reference. I should probably change it to Lucy Liu. But the point I'm making is that it's about, it's not that people don't listen. It's about you're no longer engaging me. I feel that a lot of times women talk in directives. If you're constantly just either barking orders at a man or telling him things he doesn't necessarily is not interested in, I feel like the challenge in relationships is to make it your gig to keep the other person interested. Keep yourself interesting. I have a girlfriend that was mad because she called me crying because her boyfriend and her didn't talk that much. He lived in San Francisco. And she said that he literally said to her, "You're out of content."
Oh,
like he just I don't want to hear about your day-to-day mundane. Like, engage me. Tell me a story. He said, "I don't call you all the time because not a lot happens in your life that I'm interested in hearing." And the way he said it was hurtful. And even just saying, "Hey, look, you're out of content. I gotta," like, that's how he ended the phone call. He didn't hang up on her or anything. He just said, like, "You've run out of things I'm interested in hearing." I thought that was brilliant. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to use that." Not in a mean way, but to explain on my behalf, making I statements. I've been super busy, and I know you don't want to hear about my career. You don't want it to be all about me. So I'll call you when I have something cool. If we're going to discuss, the Telepathy Tapes podcast or a movie we saw, or I just saw Call Me By Your Name I know I'm 5 years late to the table. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
But you get my point. It's like, people just talk about stuff, their jobs, money, their dog. I don't want to hear that.
It's very funny. Well, that's, I feel like I don't operate the same way because
Oh, no, you're polite. You suffer fools. Oh, my God.
Oh, well, maybe.
You're so kind.
But in some ways, I find people kind of endlessly fascinating.
Wow, you are easily amused,
Which
Dr.
is
Greg.
easily amused. I always used to kind of think, well, I don't get bored either.
Well, but your brain, you're a doctor. The whole time you're probably thinking, this guy's bad shit.
Maybe. I have thought that before, but
of course you have.
Rarely
One day I'm going to give you sodium, like they do in the movies. I'm going to tie you up and give you sodium pentothal. What do you really think of money? Like, oh my God, spare me. Brian, help.
I would love that.
I really, yeah.
But I feel like I don't lie either, do I?
No.
Sometimes. I mean,
You're polite.
Yeah, you have a hard time being mean, saying no, or lying.
But I don't think it's mean. See, that's the difference.
I'm a wimp.
No, I'm 2 minutes older than you, Brian. Dr. Greg and I are almost the same age. A few years ago, I decided that my most precious commodity, besides IP, intellectual, is my time.
Yes.
And because I feel that way, I respect that of others. Like, it's like, if people say, like, "Hey, are we going to do that?" I don't say maybe, because then they're hanging on to it. They're paying rent. It's hanging on in their brain. I'm like, you know what? For the foreseeable future, I'm super committed. I just don't see that happening. I don't say it in a mean way. I don't say no, but I'm not like the Japanese with a variety of yeses. I'm like, no, I don't see that occurring. I apologize, but I'm overcommitted and I've got a lot of stuff on my plate. And, I wish you the best. Sounds like a great project.
I think a lot of people have a hard time being so straightforward. I feel like even I struggle with it sometimes, with just being just like that, if you're too busy to do
But if you waste somebody's time, that's it. They're going to be laying on their deathbed saying, "That beezy Monique, I wish I had that 6 months back that I thought she was going to mentor me in stand-up or read my script or give me some advice." When you're a person who's done a few things in your life, whether it's be a psychologist or a stand-up, people want your feedback. People want your feedback. Feedback takes time.
Yes.
So you have to be very careful
true.
Who you say, like, "Yes, I will do this."
This is true. This is actually goes in, it's very interesting. If somebody is in my office, no problem. I like it is 100%. It's an agreement. We're there.
Yeah, they're paying.
But sometimes
That's how it should be.
When I'm like on my off time, and then someone like a family member or a friend asks for advice, and I'm sorry, family members and friends who are listening.
Too bad.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my, it just feels like such a heavy lift.
Of course, it's like people telling me, "Be funny." No, no.
Well.
If you get a red velvet curtain and some snackies in the green room, because if you don't, no.
But you are funny, just naturally. Nonetheless, I'm curious because you said something right at the beginning, which I have to say is a point of view I have that's controversial, which is you said divorce is good, essentially.
It's amazing.
Well, and when I was a kid, my parents were divorced. And it was the best thing.
Of course.
It was the best thing.
It's always the best thing.
I was so happy about it. And I always hear about that, people will say, oh, it's always traumatic to children. I've heard that in school, and I've heard that from
so
people.
It's potty training, but it has to happen.
Well, I don't even remember it being the least bit traumatic. I was so happy when it happened. What?
Potty training or the divorce?
No, I don't remember the potty training, thank God.
Another day.
Because you hear a lot of parents also say they are staying together for the kids.
It's so much pressure to put on the kid. That's the saying. I could have been a ballerina and then I got knocked up. Like, why are you telling me this? That's your problem, lady. I didn't tell you to get drunk and drink some PBR and it's not my bad,
Well, my parents had a very acrimonious, like a fighting relationship, especially toward the end, and things were very bad, and there was a lot of chaos in the house. And I'll never forget the day my dad moved out.
It was awesome, right?
It was wild. It was quiet for the first time. And I remember walking around the house and thinking, it's quiet. I don't hear anything.
My third husband moved. Me and my dogs jumped up and down on the couch. I let them eat bacon for dinner. It was amazing. I was like, no. I mean, you don't give them table food, but that was special. They had bacon night.
I was only 8 years old. I don't remember about anything much else. But yeah, I mean, it's a wild thing. And I always felt like it was good that my parents did that. In some ways, I wish they had done it earlier.
Well, my parents got separated when I was 7, hence the theory 7 up. It was monumentally traumatic for me, unbelievably horrible, because my dad was like me, and when he left, I felt like he was leaving me with the bad babysitter that didn't like me, aka my mother, but he was so much happier that my ability to see how happy he was made me happy.
Oh, good.
And she was pretty nice. I mean, she got better. But the point is that I can tell you, my dad, I can picture, I still have the chair. It's in my living room. My dad sat on a chair and he put his hands on my shoulders and he said, this has nothing to do with you, which in your 7-year-old brain, what did I do? And he said, and I told you this story before. Monique was a fully formed demigod by the age of 7 because when he said, I need to go. And I said, will you be happier? And he said, yes. I said, then I'll help you move. Because as miserable as I was at the prospect of being left alone with my mom, was as happy as I was for him because he and I were so connected that I could tell how miserable he was. Because he wasn't a bad person, but bad situations make good people do bad things. People lie and sneak and run around and hide and check into motel rooms. And nobody wants to be that person.
That is true.
Nobody does.
No.
You become that person when you're not strong enough to say, I'm not happy.
Well, it violates your own personal values. It's interesting because there was a study that just came out that was really about the intersection of values with divorce. And if you are with somebody and you're acting in a way that violates your own personal values, if you're in a culture that prizes more autonomy, like the U.S., and, Netherlands or like Scandinavia, Europe, like Western cultures that prize more autonomy, that you are more likely to divorce when things violate your personal values. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If you lived in a culture that was more collectivist, you were more traditional, you might want to stay in the relationship even though things were bad and violated your values.
I'm going to say a horrible thing. I think a lot of collectivist societies view materialism differently, and I think a lot of people that stick around say it's for the kids, but it's really I really like this house, and I don't want to leave.
Oh, well, there's that too.
Oh, there's a lot of that. I think people collect a lot of stuff as a family, not just memories and woven tapestry of sort of traditions, which is a big part of collectivist society, but it's also like they don't have apartment complexes in certain neighborhoods where it's like, oh, this is where the single people hang and it's fun and the pool's hopping. It's like, yeah, I'm wearing a burqa and I'm fearing stoning or what, you know what I mean? Like it's...
No, that's exactly right. And I think, and then you're pointing out a gender difference that is really quite stark, at least here in the United States. Women tend to do better emotionally after divorce. But they do they don't do as well financially. And that can keep a lot of people stuck in a bad relationship.
Oh, my man. I've said it before. It bears repeating. My dad told me when I was a very young woman, he said, one day you're going to be broke. One day you're going to be brokenhearted. Make sure it's not the same day.
Wow.
Is that the most?
That's brilliant.
That should be on. That should literally be on a T-shirt.
That should be a T-shirt and a bumper sticker.
And by the way, I've always made more money than any man I've ever been involved with.
I believe that.
I've been crying my eyes out, but I got in my BMW with my platinum Amex and drove away.
Yeah, I mean it's really wild that that how we're raised, the country we're raised in, who we are, the family you're raised in.
This is all going to go away in 25 years. You know that.
Why do you think?
Because there's no point. There's no point in it.
To marriage?
There should be contracts. You should have agreements and contracts.
That's what marriage kind of is. It's a contract.
Yeah, but it's like not a good one. It's like you don't even have an official parole board where you can say, I want to renegotiate. Like you get a one-time negotiation.
That is true.
But guess what? That doesn't work because people change and grow and they're seekers. You could marry somebody and they're a dude and then you're married 8 years or like, guess what? Even though I have an Audi, I like a tutu now and again.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
That is a real thing. And, I actually knew a couple. I thought that was very interesting. At the time, I wasn't quite sure about it, but I've always thought about this couple. Every year on New Year's, they would renegotiate their relationship. And they did this. They were together for, I don't know, 30 years, 20 years. I don't know, a long, long time.
I think if I were to have another relationship, and I believe I will, that it will go well because you want to hear true what I think?
Yes.
I think that there's two kinds of relationships in the world. Two kinds.
Yes.
There's what I call tapestry. It's a super tight weave. You have traditions. Maybe you're similar backgrounds, mindset. Even if you're psychologically, you're both rebels. Well, guess what? You're both rebels. You're the same, you know?
Yeah.
But look, whatever it is, and you build these lives together, and it's like a tapestry.
Yeah.
But we both know sometimes the moths could get at it.
Yeah.
The threads can be weak.
Yeah.
It gets worn. So sometimes you've got this giant tapestry, but you can literally punch right through it. That's one type of relationship.
Yes.
And that's the one that this is the paradigm that we've operated as humans since like Jerusalem, since like the Bible.
You're exactly right.
I am a fan. I'm the only one. So I'm hoping someone will hear this and go, me too, me too. But I think what the kids have, and I think why young men are attracted to me, is because I understand spiderweb. NASA studies spiderwebs because they defy science the way they go. And if you put like a spider web thick of cable, it would like lift a building. You know what I mean? Like they're the properties in a spider web. So I like a lot of space. I like a loose weave. I like a thin, glistening thread. But you can't punch through it. We're tied by a grid of a genuinely positive understanding of each other that defies explanation. You don't have to explain it. It's like spiderweb. We got a spiderweb thing going on. And then it doesn't matter where you go or what you do because it's a positive cosmic grid. It's not an obligation. I got to go to your parents on Christmas Eve. It's like, hey, look at me sparkle over here. I caught a fly. You hungry? Like.
I think actually, I don't think you're so alone there because I do think.
But I don't think people can explain that they need
that is
space and
first
air.
Time I've heard that actual explanation, and I really
good,
like
right?
it. It's a very good one.
I think it's
even in my head. I'm like, that's the ideal relationship right there.
But it's spider webs are beautiful. And they're so practical and they're so strong. And yet there's so much room to like, if you ever really watched a spider, like they just move around, they look like they're having a good time. A leaf falls in, he checks it out, you know. It's you know, I just feel like whoever I'm with has to understand I trust you. When I can't see you, when you're off behind the leaves and branches, we're connected by this glistening grid of information of like, you're here because you want to be, and I love you, and you love me, and I respect you, and just do what you got to do, man. I trust you.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I reflect on my own relationships and what I've noticed in life. I've never really thought about what I am in terms of that, but I don't think I'm a tapestry person. But I've always needed a great deal of space. That's always been the case for me.
I think I mean, I'm not saying if you're like, no, I like Christmas at my in-laws, that you're not smart. But I think people that are seekers, that are curious, that are smart, they have a process. And the process takes room and it takes time. And not everything is ready to be shared. And, you know, I'm a big fan of when you're with someone and you love them, you don't have to talk.
Thank you for saying that. I love that. I love that the comfort of being with someone where you don't have to talk and then you do talk and it's just not, it's all the same.
I had a boyfriend, we just held hands until the day we parted company and it was very amicable. We would watch movies that we would pick. We had a thing. I would pick a movie. He would pick a movie. There was an age difference. I know you know. There's a repeating theme in all of my stories. But but I would show him a movie that made a huge impression on me, like Network or The China Syndrome.
Well, those are great movies.
You think? And he would show me like Boondock Saints or something that made an impression on him, and we would watch the movie very avidly. This is important to him. This movie has a message that resonates with him. And we would hold hands on the couch. And then when the movies were over, we would have big, fun conversations about the movies.
Wow.
And why they meant what they meant to us.
That's cool. That's like a really good way to like get deep with somebody.
Yeah, because movies affect you. The first time I saw To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck, like, what is happening to my life right now? It completely changes your view of the judicial system of the South
goosebumps.
Seersucker, it changes everything.
Seersucker.
I love a good seersucker suit.
Those hot Southern summers.
Yeah. But whatever it is, when you're intimate with somebody, sometimes just being in a moment is better than like, hey, didn't you like that?
This is I always hear people put down couples that are in a restaurant and not talking, and I always have had issue with that because maybe they just enjoy being with each other.
Amen.
And they're eating dinner together and they don't have to say anything.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, I'm glad we're in agreement.
Me too.
Well, who gets divorced? I want to say the average first divorce age is 30. Do you know 30 is an interesting place to go because when you turn 30 is when your pineal gland starts to calcify. You literally see these big physiological changes start to happen.
What's your pineal gland?
Well, it's in there. It's kind of it's starting to
ignorance.
it's kind of kicking off the aging process. Although it's been going on all along, it's starting to,
starts to calcify. That sounds awful.
Well,
where is it located?
It's right in the center of your brain where you can't even get to it. You could not even.
I can't. I'm thinking on it right now. I'm softening mine up.
60%.
I just lubed my pineal gland while we were talking.
No, it's in charge of all the good stuff. It's in charge of all the good stuff. No, I remember reading about that. I was taking a neuropsych class or neurology class in my grad program, and I was in New Orleans in the Royal Sonesta Hotel.
Been there,
waiting.
I had good times.
Great place. And I was waiting for my friend to get back because my friend who was doing a conference there, and she called and said, "Let's come out. I'm doing a conference, and you can come stay in the hotel room." And I went, and she was out during her conference. So I cracked open my books on my 30th birthday. I was all alone in the hotel room, read this, and I read that chapter, and I went, "Well, happy birthday." The brain's changing as we speak.
Not even.
So 60% of divorces happen with people 25 to 39. That's the youngsters can often get
I was
divorced.
ahead of the curve.
You were.
I was 23 going on 24.
Highest divorce rates, and give me your thoughts on this. Highest divorce rates, dancers, 43%, bartenders.
Wait. But is it dancer ballet or dancer spin around a pole? Like, that's a very vague term.
Very good question.
It's a very good question. Ballerinas are high maintenance. Strippers are impossible.
Well, maybe they all have high divorce rates.
Okay, fair enough.
Bartenders, massage therapists, those are the 3 highest professions.
You think?
The lowest are
I think they're like almost the same job. Let's be honest.
the lowest, oddly enough, I don't have the list here, but the lowest are things like dentists, doctors.
Because they don't want to have to give up all the good stuff they build up after med school.
I don't doubt that is a piece of the equation for some.
My dentist is smoking hot.
Is he?
Yeah, he's not young. He's a he, and he's an older guy. But there's something so sexy about an older guy that's like buff, but he still has age spots. You know, like that means like he's put in the work. You know, like my dentist is like buff, but he's an older dude, and he has a very good haircut, and he's got like golf spots, and I'm like, sometimes just to amuse myself, I picture things.
Well, your mouth is open. I mean,
for sure. He's like, I don't want to put anything else in your mouth, and I'm like, he knew what dirty mind I have.
You know, the problem is when you make me laugh, I cough. Okay, so military divorce rate is higher, 3.4%.
They're all alcoholics.
It's like twice as much for military women.
They drink a lot.
Cheat a lot.
They cheat and they drink. They think they drink first to get up the nerve to cheat.
Have you ever dated a Navy SEAL?
Yes, of course I have.
Years ago, I went out with one, but yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Wikipedia says I'm married to my 4th husband, who's a Navy SEAL, and we live in Encinitas.
Oh, I love that. I love Wikipedia for giving that to you.
Yeah, I wish.
It's an alternative
I'm like,
life.
wow, that's let's manifest it, bro.
No, it's interesting. They have a divorce rate of 90%.
Of course they do.
I know.
Because they're insane.
I thought
it's
that
like
rang
CIA.
so true for me.
You know how we don't know why what the divorce rate is in the CIA? Because we don't know who they are. CIA, FBI, all those clowns. I'm sure their divorce rate's 99.9999. They don't want Kaiser Soze coming after their family.
And people 50 plus, it's doubled in the past 20 years.
I know. I find that so exciting.
Yeah,
Gray divorce.
Gray divorce.
I love it so much. I have like 5 bits about it.
Do you?
I do. I love it.
I love gray divorce.
Me too.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting one. What's interesting about it is then that's where you really have to rethink holidays and, you know, what comes up next. What interests me as a therapist, sometimes I'll have adult children be upset that their parents are divorcing. And I'm like, you know,
over
again,
yourself.
This is the
they already
life
raised
that
you and spoiled you,
chosen.
entitled little schmuck.
They've chosen, and some kids want their parents to stay together just because
Why?
they want them.
Oh, and I like it best when there's gray divorce and someone turns gay. Oh, I love that so much.
A lot of that, yes.
That's my tippy.
I don't know that they turn gay. They just suddenly.
Oh, come on. Yeah, but you get my point.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, there were so many restrictions even 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So many. And in my lifetime, I've seen so much change. You know, I probably should filter myself, but I'm incapable at this point. I work on cruise ships, and there's a lot of mixed race relationships of people in their 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. You know they're not married. You know that isn't a 50-year relationship. You know that's someone that at 60 gave themselves permission to look at people of other races and other stripes and say, you know what, my parents are dead. I like you.
Wow. I have honestly never thought about that.
Well, do you think that every old mixed race couple you see holding hands had the courage of,
I assumed.
Guess who's coming to dinner? No. Guess what? No.
You're right.
No.
I just didn't have critical thinking about that, but yeah, you're right.
Evidently, I'm quite the critical thinker.
Well, I mean, you're on cruise ships a lot.
But I'm saying, like, there's no way, if you look at the percentage of mixed marriages in 1975.
No, they were less, right?
Like what, 2%?
Yeah, they were less.
And now on cruise ships, it's a very common.
Because when did Loving v. Virginia? That's when interracial marriage was allowed, in the United States. That was the Supreme Court decision that allowed that. And I don't remember. I think it was in the 70s.
I was going to say that's probably
50s?
not even
maybe the 50s.
No, it's not the 50s.
60s?
No.
I don't know when that particular.
No, it makes me
Supreme
so
Court
happy
case.
to see mixed race couples, old mixed race couples having a great time and holding hands.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
that's
I agree.
freedom.
It is. It is. Well, it's just nice to see people holding hands.
I get
Period.
it, but you know what I
love
mean?
that.
There were so
Yeah.
many stigmas.
I do agree. So lack of commitment is the number one reason. I mean, of course, 73%. Frequent arguing, 56%.
Lack of commitment, like that. They even had to say that out loud.
I guess. I
Because
don't
that's
know.
to me, that's the umbrella.
Well,
All the
that's-
other
well,
stuff just supports
It's 73%. So people are ticking off multiple things here.
that. Infidelity's only 55. I don't buy that for a second. Oh my! Somebody's lying.
Unrealistic expectations,
It's like
45%. And they're saying the
87%.
other person has it. No one ever admits to their own unrealistic expectations. And domestic violence, a full 25%. That is wild.
That doesn't surprise me because of substance abuse. People get very handsy
You're
when they're
right.
drunk or high.
You are so right. If you get married before you're 18, your risk goes up by 48%.
That's over.
I know.
Yeah.
That's I told Noah not to get married. Remarriage.
Noah young?
He's
Are you-
22.
Don't do it, Noah. Are you engaged?
No.
Or you got a girlfriend?
No.
Okay, good. Stay like that for a really long time.
When do you guys think would be like an appropriate age to get married?
46.
46.
46 for a man, 35 for a woman.
My God, that
Okay.
is right on. I think
Especially if you've frozen your eggs and you're not like in a super, you're terrified about the clock ticking. If you take biological time clock off the table, especially now that people mature so much more slowly and their ability to cope with real responsibility is so hampered for a multitude of reasons. I have a lot of friends of all ages, and I have a girlfriend who's 37, beautiful, delightful. Now, I would say now would be the time. But anytime before now, no.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, I'm happy. That's why I asked. I'm like, that's great information. Noah, did you take notes?
I got you, Noah.
pack a lunch, Noah, because that's 46 is a while from now.
Yeah, right.
But here's what I think: you should have 2 or 3 significant relationships before you get married.
Right. No, that's
I
right.
dated a guy that was much younger than me, same one. So don't think it's like 8 different ones, same one. And his mom didn't really care for me too much. And one day, because I don't care, I said to her, "Look, I'm keeping him out of a bad first marriage.
Aw.
By the time he gets married, he'll have had adventures. He'll know a thing or two."
Did Mom relent? Did she back off?
Oh
when you
no,
said
she
that?
didn't like me till the end, but I don't care
Oh.
because he got married later in life because I slowed his roll. We hung out and had a great time, and he grew as a person. He was kind of shallow, kind of entitled. There were a lot of qualities that did not make good husband material. By the time he got married, he was good to go,
Wow, good for you.
and he's happily married, and that's that.
Wow.
I have a very good track record. I'm usually the last stop before the last stop.
I love that.
I'm totally fine with it.
That's great. Yeah, so it was just really great to talk about divorce in a positive way because this is, it's always
It's
been
a stigma. All
a
it is
stigma.
breaking up with paperwork.
I do think it causes some people a great deal of trauma that when they do it. But, I think about friends of mine who divorced a first partner and then remarried, and I couldn't even imagine. Like, their second marriages are so
They're so
good.
much happier.
So much happier. And yet they're statistically at a higher possibility
I
of
say it on
becoming divorced,
stage.
but they're so much happier.
The first marriage is a dress rehearsal. Seriously.
Yeah.
I feel like I love when people have stayed married a really long time. Don't get me wrong. When I meet people on cruise ships and they say we've been married, 55, 45, whatever the number is, over 30, I'm always very, very happy for them. That being said, you can tell there's 2 types of people that are married for long times. Number one, they genuinely love each other. They're married to the right person. They've made it work. Failure's not an option. Say whatever you want to say. They're committed. They're in it to win it. I love those. They are usually the ones in the matching shirts. Then you have the other, which is they have an economic and emotional case of chicken going on. which is like, oh no, you're not leaving me. Oh no, I'm gonna make you miserable till the end. You can just tell, like you can tell
That's
that
so unfortunate.
But they have money. They're on a cruise.
Yeah.
But the guys in the casino, the old ladies playing bingo, they bicker at dinner. It's a thing. Like we have built up a nest egg and a lifestyle that I'm not letting go of. I'd rather be miserable with my stuff than not have my stuff. Especially the women, because that generation didn't stockpile stuff.
Well, I mean, I do think there are. Yes, I do think, unfortunately, there are a lot of those relationships out there. But I think you can have a great deal of stuff. You can have no stuff at all, but you can be in a happy relationship.
Absolutely. If I was with the right
key.
guy, I could have a picnic table and a Style Council cassette. I lived that way
That
in the
sounds
80s.
amazing.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, this is great. Well, thank you, Monique. I mean, I just wanted to talk about divorce, and this is so wild to actually talk about it in this way.
In a joyful look. I'm going to tell you. Can I lock out with one quick story? Okay, so I used to have a bit in my act. Everything's real. Where I would say, you know how when you're real, because I was newly divorced myself. I go, well, actually, I was getting divorced. I go, you know how when you're not happy in a relationship, you start looking for signs that you should leave, like those signs in front of the church where they have like, you know, whatever. And I made jokes about how you read your horoscope, like today's the day you should file. You know, like you're looking because you really want to do it, but you need that tipping point. I said, guess what? If you're in the audience and you're thinking of getting a divorce, do it. You know, like, I'm your sign. I'm telling you to file. And, you know, and it was more for myself, you know, and people would laugh. So about a year later, I go back to the same comedy club in Palm Beach, Florida, Comedy Corner. This is the 90s. A woman comes up to me. She goes, I'm your greatest fan. And I was like, I beg to differ. My dad's my greatest fan. But tell me what happened. She goes, remember that time you were here about a year ago and you said blah, blah? I go, yeah. She goes, I couldn't stop laughing. And my husband goes, oh, you think that's funny? You think that's funny? You were looking for a sign. What, do you want a divorce? And she said it was like an open door, like I saw light and I ran through it. I go, maybe I do. She goes, I never went home. I checked in like a Holiday Inn on the corner. I never went home from that show. She said, I got a divorce, you know, like I saw a crack, and I ran. And she said, thank you so much. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I could be of service.
Well, that is incredible. You
Made
changed
me
someone's
happy.
life.
Made me super happy.
Now,
I
we're
mean,
not...
even the show, because it's, I mean, nobody wants to get divorced. I mean, it
No.
sounds
Nobody
scary,
really
you
does,
know?
no.
No,
That is true.
you did your best. Nobody stands there at the altar with their fingers
No.
crossed going, jinx, eyeball.
Although I do have to hand it to Helen Gurley Brown. Helen Gurley Brown, I had the privilege of meeting with like a group of about 10 people. And somebody asked her, she was about to get married for the, I don't know how much time.
5-6 times.
Yeah, she was frequent married. And she... somebody said, well, you know, you've already been married so many times. What about, why are you getting married this time? Why not just be in a relationship? She goes, oh, I don't care about getting married. You can always get divorced. She
Yeah.
was just as cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, to
about
her,
it.
that's just going steady with paperwork.
Yeah, there you
I don't need the paperwork.
Well, thank you, Monique Marvez.
My
I
pleasure.
can't even tell you what a pleasure it is having you here and talking. What?
Don't forget, you guys have something coming up, right?
Oh, my
Yes.
God. Yes, we were going to make
okay.
a special
Thank you.
announcement. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes. Well, Monique and I have a special event that we're doing once a month called Friends with Privileges. And we already did a pilot, a test, a sit down that went rather well.
I enjoyed myself listening. I enjoyed it in the moment.
I enjoyed
But
it
I
in the
always
moment.
hate going back and listening to. I listen to things like game film, like my stand up and whatnot. I enjoyed us. We were funny.
I enjoyed us too.
We were entertaining.
It was actually fun because you know what? It was just fun. We just sat on your couch.
But you said real important things. I was funny, but you said things that mattered.
Well, I think you say things. I actually 100% agree with this. You're a therapist with punchlines, like you
fair
are.
enough.
And you did it for that woman. I think you can change lives.
I would like to.
Yeah.
Obviously for the better. I want, if people were, this is my belief, if people were free, had a full tummy, and were relatively sexed up, whatever that means to them, it could just be hugging. Because you told me on Friday that not everybody cares that much about banging. I find that hard to believe, but okay, I'm gonna go with you on that. My girlfriend listened to the podcast. I had a friend of mine objectively listen, and she said, "You have the libido of a steel worker. You're like a man construction worker." I'm
Don't
like,
give it up. That's a good thing.
I think it keeps me young.
Yeah, it keeps you alive. That's
Yeah.
a good thing. I'm not. Don't argue with that.
Exactly. So yes, but I think if everybody felt free, like, okay, I can be me, and they're not lacking. Lack makes people crazy. If you got a full tummy or whatever that means, your needs are being met, and somebody is hugging you, touching, whatever makes you happy. Foot massage, whatever.
Yeah.
There would be like no war. Like everybody be cool. Everybody be cool. It's going without, feeling unloved, and feeling constricted that make people angry and rebellious and hateful.
I mean, to the bottom line to me is that if we can all feel connected, we feel okay.
Amen.
It's when there's that
Disconnect.
separation,
Us
that
and them.
disconnect. Us and them.
Us
yeah.
and them. There
That's
is
when
no
all
them
the
there.
problems start.
There's just more you.
And of course, sex is one pathway to it. So.
It's a good one.
That wraps up the show for today. A reminder. Wait, our podcast or
We're going to post it on YouTube.
It's an event.
It is an
on
event.
YouTube, and it's
on there now.
Friends with Privileges. It's on Monique's page.
Yes, and we're going to get clips, and we're going to share the clips all over because I want feedback before we do number 2.
Yes.
So we'll post clips on your page and on the Off the Couch page.
Oh, good,
It's
good,
all
good, good,
We're going to
good.
share everything.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's Monique. Go to Monique Marvez on YouTube.
Correct.
That's the account, but also you have MoniqueMarvez.com as
I
well.
do. It's not posted there yet, but it's
Okay.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we are going to post clips on both of our sites.
Yep.
And it's I'm pretty proud of it. I think we did a good job for the first one.
I mean, it went super smoothly and it was a lot of fun.
That's the
and
point.
We had chocolate. We had those Reese's peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's, chocolate peanut butter.
good
things.
snackies.
Well, I think I've eaten probably the whole tub already.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, just already.
You look nice on the couch, so it was cool.
Thank you. Okay, so
No desk to hide behind. You look fine.
Like, subscribe, give us 5 stars if you want to see this.
Please give him 5
There's
stars.
some studies even for tonight and the CDC divorce statistics, as well as the study I referenced, youtube.com/Dr. Greg. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, hit us up on socials at Ask Dr. Greg. You're at Monique Marvez, right?
Correct.
Right. And this is Greg, Brian, and the incomparable Monique Marvez, and we have your outro. Monique Marvez bidding you farewell. Monique's special outro
is love hard,
forgive harder, and get as happy as you can, as fast as you can. Thank you.
Woo!